We have a heart that is like a huge satellite. It's 5,000 times more sensitive than the brain. And it can pick up inner vibration and nuance, and it can pick up thought, and it can pick up intention, but it also can pick up communication from higher realms. And we have healer guides and helper guides and runners who just get us from A to B and entertain us along the way. And
Sonia, if you're there, we're looking forward to seeing you.
yes, I'm here. Here I am,
Oh, you're
everyone.
you're so welcome. And where are you coming to us from?
Well, I'm actually in London. I just came back from America and I'm here quite a little bit because I have a daughter here and two granddaughters here.
Ah, smashing. And you're living most of the time though in Paris now.
Yes, that's my home. I'm in Paris.
And you cover that beautiful story in Waking Up in Paris so well. And if anybody wants to read a delightful memoir and based in one of the most beautiful cities in the world, this is it, Waking Up in Paris. I have
Thank you.
to tell you though, Sonia, the very first time I came across your book, it's about 30 years ago now, The
Mm.
Psychic Pathway. I had the most peculiar or funny kind of situation occur. We had a beautiful bookstore here in Dublin called Waterstones. I don't know if you know of it. Have you?
There's one here, so I know that chain. It's
Ah,
beautiful.
oh, it is a gorgeous store, and it's gone. It's left Ireland. We don't have it here anymore. But at the time, it was this wonderful environment, almost a library-like environment. And my children were really quite young. They were only 3 or 4, that sort of age. I had twins, and I was looking for a book. This is my big thing, my big treat to go to Waterstones and buy a couple of books. And they were making so much noise. A man came up to me and he said, please take your children away from here now. And I said, well, I'm not going to be very long, literally 5 more minutes. I know what I want and I leave. And he said, no. And he took out his wallet, Sonia, and there was a wad of notes in it. And he started to he pulled out what was £100 in those days. We have euros here now. £100, and he's holding it in his hand, and people around are looking, and he said, I will pay you to leave.
Oh
And
my goodness.
the kids must have been so bad. And I just put it back. I put it back in his hand and I said, you have to take this and go across the road to a different bookstore, buy yourself a cup of coffee, and I'll be gone by the time you come back here. And that was the day, literally within 5 minutes of that, I spotted The Psychic Pathway. And that was the day I bought that book. I have to say, it was the funniest thing. If I'd left, I might have missed it at that moment.
Wow. I call that a divine appointment.
Well, that's exactly it. It was the best possible start to your an introduction to your work. But you've had a fascinating, I mean, your mom, you growing up, you were actually, you lived with guides, with spirits. Your mom was very encouraging.
I don't know another way of life. I grew up in a very matriarchal environment. My mother was deaf. She had become deaf during the war. She married my dad when she was really 15 years old, and they kind of fudged the papers so she could get to America. So I grew up with a mom who was deaf, who had not really had much formal education. So she said it was the best thing that ever happened to her because she wasn't influenced by outside opinion. And she always had a connection to her spirit. She called her inner guidance my spirit. And she told us, your spirit speaks to you in vibration. And if you want to have a successful life, always trust that vibration or trust your vibes. That's your authentic self, that's your spirit, that's your inner compass, that's your guidance. And I was one of 7 children. I was the middle, named after her. And I figured out pretty young that the way to get her attention was to be really good at trusting your vibes. So I became very proficient at reading energy and understanding what was happening beyond the appearances of things, beyond the surface. And by the time I was 12, I was already doing personal readings for people, adults, literally way beyond my emotional years and intelligence, but By the time I was 15, I figured out that people who had lost touch with this inner compass were terribly compromised, that they just had no chance to succeed, that they would really get lost. So that's when I decided that I would become a teacher. And so I started my very first class when I was 15 years old. I had a woman that I had done readings for a while in Denver. It was her brother. He came with he was a truck driver, so we had it every other week, and that was his rotation. And his local mistress, which I didn't even understand what that was, but I was glad they were there and taught my very first class after what I learned from my teacher. That is in my book, Trust Your Vibes. I started mentoring with a master teacher when I was 12, two actually. So I don't know another way of life.
Mm. And you say that actually, this is actually available to everybody, that angels and helpers and guides and.
Well, not only is it available, but I started a long time ago. I started 50 years ago.
Mm,
And the world at then was relatively calm and uneventful. But our world has changed a lot, and it is very unpredictable. We are in a very magnificent but disruptive point of time. And so I believe not only do we all have access to the divine support system and higher consciousness and intuition, but we need it.
mm,
I feel like now is it's our security. It's how we navigate the unknown. And I think now more than any other time in my life, the world is becoming much more receptive and understanding that, and where I was way ahead of my time before, the time is now for us to really begin to make those connections, and they are easily made if you understand how.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you, because a lot of people, particularly, I mean, up until this time anyway, people imagined that your kind of gift was really unusual. It was only for the sort of special ones,
Mhm.
that any gift, any connection with. I mean, in a sense, we more or less here in Ireland, most of us would have grown up with a Christian background in some way, and we would have had the sort of understanding of angels and saints
But
and
that was acceptable. I grew up Catholic too. So if you said angel or saints or the dearly departed,
yeah, yeah.
that got a pass. But if you said spirit guide, whoa, that was off limits for sure. And so I understand that it was really, to a large degree, just a lack of understanding
Mhm,
that we are spiritual beings.
mhm.
And as spiritual beings, we are connected to source, we are connected to the divine, but we have helpers. We have angels, we have guides, we do have the dearly departed, but we also have nature spirits, and we have light beings, and we have teacher guides, and we have healer guides and helper guides and runners who just get us from A to B and entertain us along the way. And if we just open to that, we're spiritual beings ourselves, then we can connect to the spirit realm much more easily. And it's so ready to help you. It is really about, you consider, for example, that I'm just a radio and the music's playing. I just have to turn my consciousness on and then learn how to hear and listen to what I call the language of spirit, because it doesn't necessarily speak in the way our brains and our ego brains work. The guides speak in metaphors and humor and symbols and signs, but because it's natural to us, we pick up on it pretty fast. We catch
Okay.
on pretty fast.
Well, you talk about the sort of the barking dog, which I think is a
Yes.
lovely way of talking about your ego. So, how do you know the difference between the intuitive or the soul voice or the spirit voice? How do you know the difference between the two?
That's a very good question. There's what I call signatures. When it's your ego, and this is pretty consistent, it's noisy, a lot of talking, a lot of unsettled energy, and in your body it's contracted. You're tense. Your energies are kind of contracting in. The ego is also inconsistent.
Mhm.
jumps around, says one thing, then another, and then it argues back and forth, and just overall kind of drains your energy. I call it like a squirrel running around a cage. Okay. Just, do I do this? Do I do this? Just kind of agitated.
Yes.
When it's your spirit, it's very calm. It's not too many words, and it's not necessarily words, it's a feeling that we language. We use our words to describe the feeling. It's in your body, it's not in your head. And it leaves you kind of expand, you open. Your energy it expands, and you feel, even if the guidance is not appealing to your ego, like, that person you're dating is not for you, say
Mhm.
your ego doesn't want to hear it, your body's going to be relieved. That
And
almost the body's going to be like, ah,
yes.
just always.
So that's a really good question. The subject then, because how do you kind of prepare yourself for that kind of staying tuned in? Uh,
Couple things.
yeah.
Here's the most important one. You have to want to be guided.
Hmm.
You have to be available. Have you ever had a friend come to you, for example, with just in a big drama and a big crisis, and you offer this piece of advice and they don't listen and they keep going on, and you offer this piece of advice and it's almost like they bat it away and keep going on. They're not really receptive.
Hmm.
So you get frustrated. You want to help, but they can't receive it. They're not available.
Yeah.
And the same is with our spirit guides and even our higher self, which is our ultimate spirit guide,
Mhm.
is that we have to be available to receiving support. And if that support is is lent in directing us away from where our ego wants to go, we have to just not fight it. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is, if you really want to get guidance quickly, ask for it. Like, directly, help me. And even in Ireland, all in Catholic school, we say, ask your angels, pray,
Yeah.
ask for help, but then have some space to be helped.
Mm. Yeah.
I you'll be helped. Don't. So my mother used to say, don't pray on one side of your mouth and worry out the other. So if you ask for help, expect it. It'll come. It will absolutely come, but your ego gets agitated. So go for a walk, breathe, move that adrenaline and anxiety and fear so that it doesn't seize you. There's a lot of biology going on here. So we want to no, I'm afraid or I'm overwhelmed or I'm anxious. That's going to affect my body, and that's going to make it hard to receive help. So let me just go for a walk. Let
Mhm.
me just get in a shower. Let me just sit here and breathe for a minute or two and just kind of calm my nervous system. Then pay attention. Guides are in front of you, but they don't hit you over the head. Despite what Hollywood likes to present, they're subtle. You're
Mhm.
not going to have, an angel appear in your living room, but you might. And this is good about angels, especially in Ireland, because you're receptive to angels. So those are the ones that are really going to be most accessible, okay? Is that they can actually sometimes show up as a human encounter. And so think about it. Have you ever had an unusual moment where you were in a crisis or a situation and someone out of the blue just kind of showed up, helped you
Oh.
out, and disappeared?
Mm.
And there'll always be a pretty subtle event. I remember when I was a teenager, I had a little Volkswagen, and I was learning to be independent. But one of the things I hadn't figured out is you got to put gas in your car. And driving, I'm in a bad neighborhood and running out of gas and nowhere to go. Not smart, not bright, 16. And I remember pulling over, and somebody just like, I'm out of luck. I got to pull over. And this car drove up behind me and parked. And I'm on kind of a little highway overpass. Parked the car behind me. I'm in the car, blinkers on. He gets out with a can, comes up, points to the gas cap, which in the Volkswagen was in the back, and you pulled the lever.
Mhm.
Not a word to me. Poured the gas in, waved goodbye, got in his car, and drove off.
Never
That
said a
was an
word.
angel.
Absolutely.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So, but when I talk about this, I think we have all the time angel encounters. We just say they were weird. That
I
was
think,
a weird guy showed up, or I just that someone weirdly helped me. And
yeah.
the word weird means out of this world. So I always say, yeah, it was a weird adventure. It was an angelic experience.
Love, love that. I didn't know that that's what that means. And I can see so many heads nodding here when you're talking about that story. It's only when we actually stop and think about it. And in our own case, my husband and I were out on a lake in a very serious storm in a yacht. We were test yachting, test driving, or whatever. This particular yacht, the storm blew up, and there was almost nowhere to bring that boat in. And we found a little cove. There was one shot at getting it in safely, otherwise it was on all of the rocks. And there was just myself and him, and it was quite a big yacht. And I jumped out, but I was on my own. And a man literally walked out of a boat shed, and he held his hand up while my husband threw down the other rope. He moored it from his end, I moored it from mine, and I turned around to say thank you, and he was gone. And I went
Yeah,
to look
see,
for
I
him,
get
and he wasn't.
goosebumps. That's an angel.
Isn't it? It's so delightful. It fills us with kind of
Can you
yes,
feel it? It just shoots through you.
absolutely. And
I
so
call those angel frizzies. I love it. And you can pretty much count on them every time.
I completely agree with you. In your case, you talk about the clairs, and you talk about the
Yes.
different intuitive gifts or sixth sense. Which
Yeah,
which
I'd
ones
like
do
to
you
break it
best?
down for everybody so you can understand this because up until about, oh, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, it was all really pretty easily dismissed.
Mhm.
But then science caught up with us, thank goodness, and starts to recognize that our inner organs are perceptive. And they're, if anything, maybe more perceptive than our five external senses. We have a gut that can pick up energy in danger. Our gut, that is our sense of something's unsafe. We have a heart that is like a huge satellite. It's 5,000 times more sensitive than the brain. And it can pick up vibration and nuance, and it can pick up thought, and it can pick up intention, but it also can pick up communication from higher realms. We have an energy in our throat. That's why a lot of people have a lot of difficulty with their throat. And it's interesting because on my YouTube channel, probably the most popular YouTube video I did was on the throat chakra because this is the junction. Our inner guidance and our connection with angels comes up here, and we get choked off. So we're all shoved up in our head where what I call the barking dog is your ego. It's like your ego is your pet. It's like your helper,
Mhm.
but it's not supposed to be the leader of your life. So when we have the throat blocked off, we lose access to our clairvoyance, which is, and that's our inner eye here. That's where your imagination is.
Mhm.
But science is now reapproaching metaphysics, and they're starting to say, this isn't so dismissible. Let's revisit this. And that when you have a gut feeling, you're really picking up energy. When your heart tells you something, it is actually aligning with the path that resonates with you, that helps you be more in harmony with who you are. And if the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, then some energy's coming at you that's not positive. If 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 you feel like something's taking your breath away, that's not good. That's a warning. Or if your heart opens and you get excited about something, that's an invitation. And this is all communication from your guides and your own spirit, because your spirit lives in your heart and lives in your body. So we have to get one of my big pieces of guidance is get back to your body, get out of your head.
Mhm. And you even talk about how to take care of your body so that most primed in a sense for that.
First thing is water. Do you
Yeah.
know that most people are dehydrated?
Mm,
And if you're dehydrated, your awareness diminishes by 50%. And if you're going to be intuitive, it's picking up subtle energy.
mm,
And if you're all dehydrated and on your phone and you're checked out, you're going to miss it.
mhm,
So, one of my favorite definitions of intuition is pay attention to the subtle. And so why I really think intuition is so important now is because unfortunately with the phone, people's attention span is contracted to nothing.
mhm,
And let's just share a quick story with you. I was in LA last week. I was teaching at a manifestation summit, and we were in downtown LA, which has no restaurants. It was where the studio was, the hotel was, but there was no food. So I had to go looking, of course, use my guides. And I wandered into what ended up, I thought it was going to be a mall, but it turned out to be just a multi-layered parking lot.
mm,
I got in this elevator. It was like dusk and getting dark, and this man was in the elevator. He wasn't threatening or anything. He was with his phone, looking at his phone. And I said, "Excuse me." And he's still looking at his phone. It was just him and I in the elevator. I was like,
mhm.
"Excuse me." Doesn't look up. Hello, because I wanted to ask him to, and then so I touched him gently. He about jumped a foot. And I said, "You really didn't see me here? You didn't really read?" He goes, "I'm so sorry. I was in my phone." I said, "Well, I didn't mean to scare you, but I'm kind of lost. Could you point me to where the shops and the food might be?" And he was so embarrassed, he actually walked me there. So real redemption on that one. And he turned out to be an earth angel. But it really, I was saddened to see that we so tune out to life and guidance and the good stuff
Mhm.
where when our attention gets consumed by the phone or media or whatever, we need to put it down, look up, look out, breathe, pay attention. And then you'll start getting your guidance.
And I think more and more people will listen to you. Well, you mentioned there that science is catching up, and we had Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor a few years ago.
Love her.
You are responsible for the energy you bring to the room, and she talks
Mhm.
about that so beautifully. And only this week we were listening to I think it's Dr. Lisa Miller, who was on Mel Robbins' podcast, and she wrote The Awakened Brain, and she's a scientist, and she's talking about the
See,
studies.
they're coming together now.
Yes,
Here,
yes.
I'm out here. It's like I'm out here in the suburbs out in the field for 50 years, and all of a sudden the world's kind of joined.
Well,
So
you're preparing the
that's
ground.
good.
Yeah.
That now we can say, I trust my vibes. I listen to my guides. I follow my intuition, and you're not going to be treated so strangely from others. But here's the thing. Don't treat yourself poorly and question yourself, because most of that doubt and most of that rejection
Mhm.
of your inner guidance will come from you.
Well, do you know something that's really interesting? I think, particularly with the group and the women in our group, and I think other women, sort of that midlife transition
Mhm.
on. There's a real sense of moving into a kind of more, I'm going to say, spiritual frame of mind, but
Yes.
a greater opening up. I think from, to the greater, wider possibilities, to the divine in
Right,
ourselves.
we finally are done running around caretaking, and we can take a breath and start to come back to our own bodies, start to come back to our own experience, and start to make it matter.
Mm,
And that's when your guides are like, finally, yay, we can help and will. I actually think spirit guides bring people to these types of podcasts or these conversations or these books, or it's where the book will fall in your head or whatever. It's your attention that is most of it necessary to be spiritually supported. And if you give it, you're going to have a lot of miracles even in the next 24 hours.
do you know, I love you saying that, because I mean, you talk about, you have your own group, which is it raise your vibe, or your vibe, the
The
vibe
Good Vibe Tribe.
tribe. that's the kind of thing that we really need, isn't it? Because you
Mm.
say if your vibrational level is there where it's meeting the sort of, what would we say, the heavenly helpers, the divine,
Right. You just have
sign.
to, it is a matter of vibration and it's a matter of awareness.
Mhm,
And I agree, you, we're broadcasters.
mhm,
But we are also energetically empathic. So we will vibe to where the dominant vibration. So if you are around a lot of negativity and you're a lot of cynicism and a lot of ego, you're
mhm.
going to either feel very uncomfortable, want to get away, or you're going to abandon yourself and just to belong.
Yes.
But that's why we need spiritual communities that give us not just support and encouragement, but vibrational match, vibrational energetic resonance, so that we start to feel like, yeah, this is not just me being different. This is me sharing a higher consciousness that is very empowering.
Love it. And
It
also,
really does amplify your intuition to be around, like in your group, in this beautiful community. If you're all check with yourselves and even every day ask yourself, what does my spirit say? What are my guides telling me? And just ask and verbalize it. You're all going to find you're getting a lot more than
mm,
you actually realize.
I love that, and what I do find here, in our group, so many women who have come to that sort of stage of life have completely changed course. Very often, they have used
Yeah.
retirement as a reinvention opportunity, and what they're proving is that as women, uh, men also, but our concentration as women is that as they grow older, they actually begin to, as you've just said, with that sort of higher vibrational resonance in them, they're bringing something much richer and greater. My grandchild comes over and she runs to, I've got a little crystal ball, and she's 6, and if she wants to go to the park, she'd say, can I have your crystal ball? And she gets it, and she looks and she checks the weather in it, and she'll say,
I love that. And I really do know because I have a little 4-year-old granddaughter. These new souls, they are very conscious.
"Mhm,
They are very aware, very attuned.
yeah,
They're connected to their guides. They're connected, and you get connected to yourself.
yeah,
You connect with the people around you that are for you. You connect with your guides. You connect with the universe. You connect with the earth. You belong. And that is the great healing of opening up these inner senses and letting your spirit guide you.
that's, I mean, we're very lucky, and I think also I love your daughter's generation. I have daughters at that age as well, and many out there have sons and daughters, and finding that they're actually really a delightful age group. That next generation coming up are
Yes.
really
Thank
fabulous.
God, right? They're really the ones that are they're the change makers.
Absolutely, which is great.
And
That's hopeful.
yes, and I am quite hopeful because to change the world and to change the consciousness of the world, don't look at the news. Look at what you're doing. We don't have to get to 100% to change a vibration. We only have to get to 51%
Mhm.
to be the tipping point, and we're past that. More than 51% of this planet is moving toward higher consciousness. So it'll gain momentum, but we're going to be okay.
Well, and part of it is one of the things that Dr. Lisa Miller said, that if we spend even a short amount of time in connection to our spirit, you know this more than most, it's good for our health. That our health actually
It
is
makes you timeless.
there. We go. Yes.
People say, well, you look so young. And I say, well, I'm timeless. I don't, when you live in spirit, you're not in third dimension.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not in fear. And fear is what ages you.
Uh-huh.
It
Well,
takes you out of fear. So, yes, I agree with her. Good advice.
it is good. Well, look, how can people get in touch with you? How can people work with you, Sonia? Because I have a
Well, several ways. And actually, the first and most accessible, visit my YouTube channel.
Mm,
Because then I offer lessons once a week and just kind of get used to this consciousness. I do one-on-one sessions with people that you can book on my website, soniachoquette.net.
Uh-huh.
I also twice a year have intensives where I teach an 8-week course where you get there. You'll get the lessons you can revisit the pre-recorded, but I will walk you through
Mhm.
each lesson myself because I transmit energy. I'm like a jumper cable. I'm going to jumpstart you up.
Mhm.
And that really helps than just trying to figure it out on your own. So that is also an option. And if you're really ambitious, then or you really want to be a leader, I also mentor one-on-one throughout the year. So those are all my options. So from just sit and watch and listen, read my books,
Mm.
um, come and work in a small class, one-on-one with a private session, to I'll teach you how to be a teacher. So it's very accessible, and you can. I think the YouTube is a good start.
I think it's a wonderful start. It really is, and absolutely everybody here this evening and checking in with the channel later on. You must go and look at Sonia's YouTube channel. It's simply so at Sonia Choquette, and that's
Right.
Choquette. And you can see Sonia's name there. The other thing is though that you also have a lovely deck of cards. Now I'm not going to ask
Yeah,
you.
I have many, but the one I just redid is my Ask Your Guides deck.
I love the look of that. I want to see just before we go to that because almost everybody here loves a beautiful deck of oracle cards. It's something most of us will use almost daily.
It's like telephones to your spirit.
Yes,
It is first of all, the decks themselves, because they're images, put you out of your logic brain.
yes,
They
yes,
put you in the bright brain, like Jill Bolte Taylor says, it puts you in the brain that is receptive.
yes.
You're working with your hands, but you're connected to your heart. So you're just plugging right in.
Mhm.
And then you pull the cards and they mirror vibrationally. They give you the mirroring of the guidance visually. And it really is oracles have been around forever.
Yeah. And what's lovely is when you talk years ago, and I mean I loved reading tarot cards myself. I loved the deck because
Me
the
too.
images and the pictures and the rest of it. Sometimes you spent a lot of time explaining to people that the scary looking ones weren't as scary, that there were other. But I find with your guides cards, with the angel cards, they're so much easier to work with. People are already relaxed by the time you start opening them. So I know that your deck is beautiful and it's easily got on any of the Amazon or any of the
Mhm.
bookstores. Do you mind if we go to a couple of questions just now, or would you?
Oh, it'd be my pleasure.
And please, anyone who wants to ask a question of Sonia, Sonia's speaking this weekend. She was speaking last weekend. People travel far and wide to come and see her, and we have her here sitting in front of us for this beautiful, beautiful time that we have with you here. It's lovely to just be chatting with you. Trina says, "Apologies, camera off." That's okay, Trina. You're perfectly fine. And a great story. Well, you're welcome. They're all good stories now, aren't they? Here. Lovely. Lorraine, loving the chat. Thank you both for the magical interaction. I ask for support regularly and get it. Thanks to every being in the universe. A question, please. How do you sustain your energies?
I do a couple things. One, in the physical body, I drink water
Mhm.
and I walk, I meditate, and I do either Tai Chi or yoga for 15 minutes every day because that just keeps my physical radio receptor available. So that's one thing. And I am in constant conversation. I talk to my guides and my higher self as much as I'd be talking to you. And one of the things I appreciate about the phone is I can put my headphones in, connect to my phone, which is not turned on, go on a long walk, and I am talking away to my guides, and nobody gives me a second look anymore. So I converse constantly with the universe, and I am in constant connection to a source of support that really helps me meet whatever comes up with the confidence that it'll work out. Even if the process, like you on the yacht, it's like, I don't know if this is going to work out, but it's going to work. How, but it's going to. So that helps a lot. I had great teachers, and I had a teacher who taught me very early in life to mind my own business. And it was just because I'm intuitive doesn't mean I have to dial into everybody else's stuff. And so unless I'm asked, I don't. If it affects me, I do. If it affects my family, I ask permission and say, this is what I'm getting. And we have that agreement. But otherwise, I really do mind my own business, which is I like to walk, I like to write, I like to teach, I like to dance, I play with my kids. So I'm very attentive to choosing what works for me and keeping myself out of what isn't my business.
And that's really good advice, isn't it? Because one of the things you do mention, and very rarely, and it would be something on the minds of people, particularly beginning, exploring this relationship with their divine
Mhm.
helpers, and that is the possibility of interference from something you don't want. And is there a protection prayer?
Well, here's the thing. The
Yeah.
universe is very organized, okay? So it's the trouble isn't going to come looking for you. So,
Mm,
but just like if you wander in a bad neighborhood and you don't really know what you're doing there, you're going to attract trouble. So energetically, the way to stay protected is to stay connected to what is genuinely important to you and show up to that.
mm,
Don't drift into other people's dramas. I call my life a drama-free zone. Okay. I'm drama-free. I am allergic to drama because if someone's in drama, that might be their addiction. If I get
yes.
in, I'm going to get into drama too. It's going to affect me negatively.
Mm,
So you don't have to worry about protection if you're not in addiction, if you're not if you're not minding other people's business, if you're not if you don't check out from your own priorities, you know your priorities and you commit to your goals and you attend and make choices that create a good vibration. You don't have to walk on water. Just eat properly, get enough sleep, don't say yes when you mean no.
mm,
You don't have to be absolute, but move in that direction. Don't abandon yourself by just wanting to be a people pleaser. You're not going to get into trouble. There's
mm,
no energetic match. You see, they're too far away. You
yes.
have to drift into lower vibration. It's not going to come grab you.
Oh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much, and it explains it. I haven't heard it so beautifully explained before,
Hmm.
and every one of us would be pleased to know that also. And particularly when you talk about drama, many of us do know uh, uh, either are or know drama queens, and there's always that sense of exhaustion, isn't there? Really,
Right.
yeah. So
And they're having fun. So you don't even try to reduce the drama.
yes, exactly. And Trina says that was a lovely explanation. Does anybody have any more questions for Sonia here? Katie is having good strong boundaries important with keeping our energy clear and stable.
Essential. And this is a very important message for empathic women
Yes.
because most empathic women tend to be overly aware of others, but also we've been raised. Now, lower generations know, but anyone 40 and above, we have been raised that we are good girls if we abandon ourselves and be codependent with others. So we really need to undo that imprint. And you have to go for wanting respect instead of approval. I wrote a book that's very much about how to have a healthy connection to self and spirit. It's called True Balance. And that book is just really a manual for how to stay connected to yourself and stay in a really healthy, good vibration
Mhm.
and and so thank you for asking that. And one of the ways you can have good boundaries is instead of saying, how are you? When you meet people, say, how's your spirit?
Mm,
And you immediately go out of drama into the highest part of them. And they might be surprised and say, oh, that's a weird question, but they'll check.
mm.
And it bypasses drama. It's just an elegant way to just scoot around and meet people at the highest level and invite them to come up instead of you going in. And that's a good way to be in boundary and be boundaried without being walled off.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear because we can't very often just close off our family or
Oh, we
loved
don't
ones,
want to.
but to have something that we can actually prepare ourselves and create those
Mm-hmm.
boundaries is really helpful. Thank you. Hillary, would you like to come on and ask your question? You can unmute yourself. Is that something you'd like to do? Thank you.
Yeah, please, because I sort of didn't quite know. I'm so slow typing.
Good.
But I just
Hi,
wanted
Hillary.
to, hi, Sonia. I just wanted to ask you, I'm in a situation where my parents are quite elderly. They're about 2.5 hour drive away. And I'm just finding it quite difficult physically. I find it tiring, and emotionally, it's going through that process of losing, who they
I've
were.
been
And
there, so I understand.
yeah. And then also, there's only me and my brother, and he has other strengths maybe,
Right.
but
So it's
it's
in
it's
your lap.
yeah, and it's sort of um, there's resentments as well that come up at times or whatever, and it's just I really kind of struggle at times with the situation, and I
Well,
just wondered if
I'll give you this advice, and there's nothing easy about this, so be kind to yourself. You can't protect your parents from their own experience. We will all go through it. We will all come to a point where it's more of an end of life or later in life vulnerability. So it's not your job to protect them from their experience. It's their journey. What you can do is be supportive to their comfort to the degree that it isn't destroying yours. So you helped at the place that this is coming from a genuine availability. You're not responsible for them. You can be responsible to them. And this is what I can respond to. This is what I can respond to. So most of the guilt trip and the pressure is going to be more implied than you realize. You're going to imply that I need to do this, I need to relieve them. And it can be quite cultural that everybody agrees you need to save them, but you can escort them to heaven, but it is their journey. You don't have to go to hell to be with them in that journey, okay? So you just need to adjust a little bit and have more emotionally balanced expectations and be kind to yourself. Their suffering and their vulnerability is not something you have to relieve, and nor can you. You can just support them and remind them this is your journey. I love you a lot. I'll listen to you, but I can't take this from you. And I think you'll find it easier. And then forget it with your brother. He was, very patriarchal societies, which is most of the world until and even recently. It does fall in the lap of the woman. So your brother, you can ask him, but he's been raised to believe it's your job, so probably won't be able to get a lot out of him. But I'd be very direct in requests that you could get from him. Like, I need you to do this. I need you to, I want you to do this, please. Whatever he actually can do, but don't ask him to have a moral change of heart. If he has practical things he can help, write a check for their groceries, take care of to hire someone for their lawn, delegate with authority. And don't expect it to work out a whole lot better, but it'll work out better for you.
just one thing actually then that you made me think about when you talked about going to heaven. But Mum is quite adamant that she does not want a funeral. She does not want anything in the,
I would agree with her. I would say you got it.
yeah. Oh, we have. Well, you don't disagree with Mom. she's
I
she's
do not.
getting
But you
what she
can
wants.
say, Mom, we possibly, Mom, that's fine. But can for what I'd like for me is a celebration of your life.
And I've said
That's what
that.
I would like.
Yeah, but she's quite adamant that she doesn't want that. So,
That's because her ego doesn't want to have an end of life story.
mhm, mhm.
So I would say, Mom, I hear you, but we might have a celebration of who you are and who you've been to us. If you especially feel like you want to celebrate her. My mom wanted to be buried as ashes under a tree. So I get it. And she may be wiser than all of us to know that all that fanfare is probably not necessary. Just just accept the transition is natural, but don't struggle with that. What would you
Mhm.
like, Hillary?
I would like to mark it. I would like to. for me, it's a significant loss, even if we're ready and we've come to that point. But it's purely my need.
That you
She's
really need to put that on as perhaps like, okay, I will not have a funeral for you, but I may have one for me,
Mhm,
one that celebrates you for me. And
mhm,
that is something I'm doing for me. But I,
okay,
and then maybe you can make the funeral less a sorrowful experience and more of a celebration of life.
mhm, yeah,
But don't suffer it.
okay.
You
Thank
do
you.
what takes care of you, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Sonia.
Guilt-free.
Hilary, can I thank you so much for asking that question, because it's actually one that is much more commonly felt than people know. And
Absolutely. I just had that with my parents passing. They didn't want anything. And so we did what we wanted.
yes, and because that
We
is
did
part
what we wanted because we were the ones there that wanted.
of.
So you do what you want.
And thank you for your beautiful answer, because what you were saying is that one thing that does work, and that is once you have, if you've even started the ball rolling, Hilary, with just asking the question and moving that around in your head, and once you begin to speak with your own voice,
Yeah.
that's when it all begins to fall into place so much better, because we're so afraid to have those conversations, and it's the fear of the conversation and what we might be worried about, and the outcome is a far greater thing than actually having the conversation in the end.
Mm.
So thank you so much for that question. Just want to go quickly to one more. um, Katie is saying, Katie Hammond, does every single person have their own guardian angel? Is it usually an ancestor of ours, or an angel? And what do we have them? And what do we have?
Well, I'll explain by two things. First, I would encourage you to read my book, Ask Your Guides. And if you're not a reader, you can listen to the audio because this is a full explanation of how the spirit guided system works. Then, more immediately, we have a guardian angel, but we have infinite numbers of angels at our service. We have travel angels, and we have um, find new houses angels, and we have angels for healing. So we have an expansive number. We have 33 spirit guides, among which could be ancestors, joy guides, healers, teachers, helpers, light beings, that are, imagine it's like a sphere, a circle of support, but they're not all busy with us. They're on standby and they move in and out as needed. So think about like if you go to school and you have tutors, there's tutors there if you need them. They'll come in once for math, once for English, once for home ec or whatever. So you have this whole entourage available, but not involved. The only guardian that is going to be a bit involved is your guardian angel, whose job is to keep you safe and on your path until you fulfill your soul intentions. So he's the one pulling in the yacht. He's the one pouring the gas. It's like, okay, you wandered off the track. We got to keep you going. And they show up. But we have so much divine help. It's like, look out the window, look at the people in this group. We have that much help and infinitely more in spirit.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And of course, the secret is to do exactly what is the title of your books, which is Ask Your Guides,
Ah,
Ask Your Angels. You said
right.
right to us here. Thank you. And I know everyone thinks that's a beautiful, and you've given us the most gorgeous answers.
Here's something fun I'll suggest.
Yes.
Um, Everybody, I want you to just close your eyes. Put your attention to your right or left shoulder. See which one you gravitate toward, where you feel the presence of your guardian angel. Just take a breath and relax. Breathe and sigh out loud. Ah, and then smile. And you'll feel the curtains of your heart open. And then you're going to feel, is it on my left or my right? Do I feel the presence of guardian support? And then I want you to ask your angel, what's your name? How can I address you? And then just take whatever name pops in and whisper it, acknowledge it. And just see, even God's calling me now. And then say that name out loud. And then that's a first connection to your guide. That's your first connection to your first guide, and say, I'm happy to meet you. Thank you for being here. And I really welcome your help. Ah, okay.
Beautiful. And now that
Isn't
you've
that
taught
fun?
us, now
Now
that
you all have a connection.
now we all have a connection, and now that we have this beautiful connection, and by the way, I see Katie says, wow, thank you, Sonia. My own daughter is called Sonia. I absolutely love the name, but I've four, Louise, Sonia, Gillian, and Katie. Can I just say, because you've opened this so beautifully now, would you like to bring us our angel guidance, or our guidance this evening from your deck, from your beautiful oracle deck?
Sure. So
That would be
I've been
lovely.
shuffling my deck, and this is something I do a lot just for meditation. I just sit and shuffle just like this. So if you're going to work with a deck, this is, the hands are connected to the heart is connected to the spirit. So you just shuffle. And so I'll pull 3 cards,
Thank you.
and it'll be a message to you as a group. But each of you, what I invite is ask yourself, where would I like to apply this guidance to in my area? Let's think the first area. Where would you like guidance? Would you like it in your relationships? Maybe in your vocation? Would you like it in a travel issue, an issue with parents, whatever? Doesn't matter. Just go to that and just decide. And the card jumped out, and it is the guardian angel card, leap of faith. So your guardian's like, here, you just called me in. Here I am. Make the leap to believe. I'll help you. So that's the answer to your first question, and an affirmation that you just connected with your guardian angel. So now you have to receive it. And then before I pull the next card, ask yourself, did I hear that? And am I willing to receive it? Because your guides can knock on the door, but you have to open it up. So can I consider that I might have a leap of faith and believe I have a guardian angel helping me? That'll make a big difference real fast. So we'll pull another card. We're going to now go to a second area, or if you have a second question of the same area, but do remember, leap of faith, don't keep questioning if you just got told you're going to be helped. It's better to maybe say, okay, thank you, let it go. So pick another area, something that you just love some help with. You just love some input, some support, and just not confident. It could be your body, your health, a trip, whatever. And then we'll pull the cards. One of the ways I like to pull the cards is you shuffle and you fan them out, and you just kind of let your spirit pull a card, and this comes up using your chakras in your hands. And this one is Epiphany, and the guide coming in is higher self. Now, Epiphany hopefully is what came through our conversation today, which is, aha, now I understand, I get it. That's what an epiphany is. It's an opening of mind. So it's like, open your mind. So if you ask for help, your higher self is saying, look, don't let your ego solve it. Let me solve it. Go to your higher self. Approach this from your higher self. Don't approach this from your fearful ego. And it'll shift suddenly in that way. Okay, so that's a very exciting new, and that's what I love about the guides. They surprise you. The answers they give are shifts of paradigm. Like, we'll help. Let me handle it. And then we'll ask a third, just because it's fun to ask a third, is what message do you have for me that I'm ignoring? That's what I'd like to make the third question, okay? So I'm ignoring, I haven't made time for it, I haven't opened for it, so then I'm going to shuffle again, I'm opening again. I'm going to just feel the cards, and I feel like I want to go right here. And the card that we get here is adventure. And again, your guardian angel is here saying, look, let's have an adventure. Let's not make life survival and stress. Let's have an adventure. So your guides are saying, look, it's okay, you're good. Let's play, let's have fun. Let's not make life about an insurmountable mountain to climb. Let me make it fun for you. Let's have some fun. And I really hope that you receive that message, because that'll kick in immediately.
Oh, I think you're going to start so many people off on brand new adventures this evening. It's been an absolute joy, Sonia. It's so wonderful to have you here. So it's leap of faith, epiphany, and adventure.
Pretty
This
good, huh?
It's pretty good, and you've also given a masterclass on how to actually read those cards because
Yes, I
that's
think it
beautifully
helps.
done. Thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
I just want to wish you so much luck with everything you're doing. Do you have another book coming out?
I do. I have a book, the Divine Lessons in Soul Mastery is coming out. And that was a channeled book on how to really live in a higher multidimensional way, how to live as the spirit you truly are. That will be coming out in the next few months, and it's already on the Hay House app as an audio and an audible, because I actually didn't write that book. I channeled the whole thing.
Wow. And can you give us the title of that again? Do you mind?
Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting the title, but it's
I'm so sorry.
I know because I channeled it, but it's the
Uh,
Mastery, Divine Lessons in Soul Mastery. So look at just Google
yes.
Sonia, and this is how little I live on the third dimension. But it is the Divine Lessons in Soul Mastery, I think. But Hay House might have changed it. It's on Amazon. Just look at Sonia Choquette upcoming books and
Super.
you'll see it.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait. And that's our new adventure, obviously. And also to
Yay!
you. So you've so much going on. You're busy this weekend in London. Anyone in London, and we do have some members in England, you are at the Mind Body Spirit
On
Festival
Sunday at noon.
on Sunday. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. So we go and look that up too. Maybe we'll have another adventure and run over
Wouldn't
to.
that be great? I'd love to give you a hug if you show up.
Oh, goodness, that would be super. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So
Thank
many
you.
thank yous coming in. I can see
I
smiling
appreciate
faces.
it.
Everybody has received something. So much love we send to
I'm
you.
so happy. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your evening. Thank you so much. It was a real honor.
And it's such a pleasure for us. Take good care of yourself and
Okay, everybody.
you go.
Bye-bye.